Welcome to the SVG-TV news for today, Tuesday, July 26th. I am Khalil Kato with the details. A loan agreement between St. Vincent and the Grenadines and the Republic of China, Taiwan, for over $60 million was signed today for the Kingstown Port Modernization Project. The agreement was signed by Minister of Finance Camilo Gonzalez. Giving an overview of the agreement, the finance minister expressed thanks to the Taiwanese government through the Export-Import Bank for their continued support to this country.
So today what we're going to sign is a loan for $62 million on very concessionary terms. The Export-Import Bank, government and people of Taiwan are lending us this money in a very affordable way. The current interest rate on the loan will be under 3%. I don't think any of us can go to the bank and get a loan for 3%. The grace period before we begin having to repay the loan is 5.5 years. Similarly, I don't think that is something that is commonly available in financing. It's a very concessionary loan, and it is a loan without which we would not be able to complete this important port project. This modern port project, coupled with what we plan to do with when the port moves from its current location, we will turn that into a tourism area, will transform the face of Kingstown. We have this beautiful bay here in Kingstown, this beautiful harbor that is underutilized, both visually and developmentally. And the first cornerstone of this developmental transformation of Port Kingstown, and indeed Kingstown and its environs, is going to be the modern port project. I just want to thank the government and people of the Republic of Taiwan, through you, Your Excellency, for their continued solidarity with the developmental aspirations of the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Meanwhile, Taiwanese ambassador to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, His Excellency Peter Shali Lan, says he is pleased to support this important project.
Of the transformation of the economic development all the way. We are glad that we have this opportunity to once again leave our footprint in this very important project. We were here for the Argyle International Airport, we were with the Rebecca Bridge, and we were with educational reform, as the Prime Minister, every time we met, he kept mentioning that. So once again, we see this great opportunity when it arises. Our government and our people are very supportive to our longtime friend here. We want to be able to contribute along with other important international partners. And so finally, I want to commend all the hard work put in from all the ministries here and our team in the embassy and our people back in Taipei.
Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves commended the work that Taiwan has been doing for St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
All the way up to Fancy, you see the beautiful houses which have been constructed. That's transformation. That's part of building our modern society and a society of equity. And then the Argyle International Airport, they were involved. The post-colonial economy demands, among other things, deepening of the application of technology. They've done it with us in agriculture, with the biotechnology unit up at Rebecca. They've done it with us with information technology, and continue to do it. These are but some of the matters in which they have been involved with us.
In addressing his concerns surrounding the magnitude of the loan required to facilitate the port modernization project in Rose Place, Parliamentary Representative for East Kingstown, Fitzgerald Bramble, says that a project of that size must be able to bring forth great financial yields in order to repay the loan, and he is currently not confident in its ability to do so. The East Kingstown MP suggested in Parliament yesterday that more meaningful suggestions on how the port would be used to assist the growth of the nation's economy should be highlighted.
It is extremely important for us to come up with not just nice sounding pronouncements about how this project is going to work, but meaningful commitments relative to growing the economy, using this port as a vehicle. Our debt to GDP ratio is at 98%. What that means is that every dollar that this economy generates, 98 cents out of that dollar is owed in debt. So when we undertake a project of this magnitude, which clearly, and I would hopefully the Minister of Finance would be able to, if possible, give some reference or give some indication as to the impact of this particular project on our debt load. Because a project of this magnitude must be able to generate enough economic activity for, at the very least, the project to pay for itself. I am hopeful that that would be the case, but I am not confident that it will be.
As he further questioned how will the loan be repaid, the East Kingstown MP also raised concerns about the problems the new port intends to solve.
From where I sit as an economist and as somebody who's pretty familiar with project management, I think it is important that is designed or conceptualized and developed must have the intention of solving a problem. And my question is, what is the problem that this port modernization intends to solve? I know the Honorable Minister of Finance, the port is urgently needed for commerce, inter-island trade and tourism, and he talked about the fact that the existing Kingston port is dilapidated and no longer usable. Those are my words, my interpretation of what he said. And he also spoke about the Camden Park container port, which is the effectiveness of that port is called into question. But those, to me, those are issues which, if addressed, can answer what the real problem that is being solved by this project. And for me, the real problem is that of a need for increased economic growth.
Lawyer Jomo Sanga Thomas is of the opinion that Prime Minister of SVG, Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, needs to step down and give way to a new upcoming leader. In identifying suitable candidates for the position, Thomas said that the son of the Prime Minister Gonsalves, Camilo Gonsalves, may be the next best person to lead the party. The former Speaker of the House, who shared his views on his plan talk, that should be his Plain Talk segment earlier on Boom FM, noted that after over 20 years in office, it is now time for a change in leadership. Thomas said that there are other potential leaders also, but Gonsalves' son may be the best fit for office, as he has been well prepared.
He had indicated probably a month and a half ago, that he's prepared to lead the party into the 2025 elections. And because he cannot have his son emerge as leader, he is prepared to do that. And that is the saddest thing. And the unfortunate thing is that there's not a lot of discussion in the country about that. It's how could he's talking about the people not wanting transition. He's holding the party to ransom because he's not allowing the party to develop and grow. He has had a good run. He has led the party to victory repeatedly. But why not let it go? This is a man who said he wanted to have 2 terms. He's in his 5th term. He's 76 years old. He's morbidly obese. And he still thinks he can't walk properly. And I'm not saying this to slight him, but this is what happens with age and so on and so forth. Biology is going to take its toll on you. So he has to be literally held up sometimes when he's speaking. Why would he want to punish himself like that? And the only reason I can come up with is because he has done so much in the last decade or so to ensure that Camilo emerge. And he thinks that appears not to be happening, and he wants to hold on with the hope that Camilo's fortunes may change.
Thomas also shared that PM Gonzalez has been holding the country at ransom and preventing it from moving forward, and even with his age against him, he chooses to remain in office and has decided not to make way for anyone but his son.
He himself knew as early as 2013 that he had to make for a transition. It's now all of these years on and he still is not moving. But the country need to tell him, look, it's time for you to go. I know it's a democracy and everything else, and that he was elected in 2020, but he's choking the country because he's not allowing the younger guys, who Camilo is 49, 50, Soboto is 41. These are guys who can take the ship of state and carry it where it can go on, or let them blunder, let them make mistakes. They're still young. So even if they were to lose, and whether he's there or not, there's a real chance the party would lose in 2025. Even if they would make mistakes. If they come back, if let's say Camilo runs and loses and he comes back on 60 and becomes prime minister at 60, or Soboto runs and loses and becomes prime minister, there's nothing inherently wrong with that. So this notion that he has to hold on for dear life, it's not really true. He's only saying that because he knows that ideally what he wants is for what he has prepared for all of this time. He wants his son to be prime minister, and that does not seem to be in the cards even among the party members, and consequently he talks some nonsense about people want him to be there.
Thomas noted that the Prime Minister himself is aware that he needs to make way for another leader, but there are factors at play that contribute to his determination to lead the party into the next general election.
Camilo, there's Soboto. Of note, I would say those two. When Luke Brown was a senator, he talked about Luke Brown already. He mentions Carlos James, but everybody knows that that's a joke. So there's Camilo and there's Soboto. The two up-and-coming leaders need to have a conversation with themselves. I think, for example, Soboto should assert himself. In fact, if there was any real democracy in the ULP, what would have happened is that the constituency of South Central Windward would have proposed Soboto for leader and let the party deal with it. I think what Gonzalez is doing, he's not allowing them to emerge, and he has not allowed them to emerge. I mean, Gonzalez is there now for 21 years, and if there's a feature address to be done, Gonzalez still does the feature address. So he's not allowing his up-and-coming bucks to get the chance to become even more comfortable. But both of them are pretty good speakers. Well, Camilo is an outstanding speaker, I think. Soboto can hold his own. And I believe that there are certain hanger-ons in the ULP who likes the Prime Minister's Midas touch. He has gone 5 on the trot, and they would not want to pass that on to someone else who may drop the ball. The ball is going to drop one day, and somebody might be blamed for dropping the ball, but evidently it would not be because they can't hold the ball or carry the ball. It will be because the time has come for a change in leadership in the country.
Parliamentary Representative for Central Kingstown, Major Sinclair Leacock, says that the cost of electricity here in SVG needs to be revisited. As he raised questions about energy conservation, Leacock further asked about any considerations that could be made to offer financial relief to the citizens of SVG. The Major's questions were directed at Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonzalez, who has taken over the portfolio of Senator Julian Francis in his absence.
Whenever the energy surcharge, and I believe that is approaching 70 cents now, on the electricity bill surpasses the basic unit cost, which is currently 50 cents, it serves as a reminder of the need for us to revisit the cost of electricity. And I ask of the Honorable Minister whether he would state or inform us that the year 1973, nearly 60 years ago, is still a good benchmark date for adjusting the cost of our fuel surcharge, fuel price, to determine the surcharge. And, Madam Speaker, what other considerations, if any, can be weighed at this time to give further relief on the light bill.
In response to Leacock's question about possible measures to ease the burden of the electricity bill, Prime Minister Gonzalez explained the reasons which led to a higher fuel surcharge.
Some people seem to think that if you change the base year, electricity price goes down. No. If it were that, NDP government would have done it and ULP government would have done it, which is discretionary. The fuel surcharge moves in relation to the amount of electricity which is used and the price of that electricity. The fuel surcharge went up last month, the billing month for June. For the simple, or in June, sorry, for me, for the simple reason that you use far less, you had far less electricity generated by hydro because there was a dry spell. On an annualized basis, we produce what is consumed is about 14% of the electricity consumption is provided on an annualized basis from hydro. So obviously, Madam Speaker, if it's less hydro, you will use more diesel to generate the electricity for people to consume. And with the prices rising, it's a double whammy. Increase volume of diesel use and increase prices. That's why the fuel surcharge moved.
All laboratory services in St. Vincent and the Grenadines are currently being decentralized so as to adequately accommodate the Vincentian public. Minister of Health, Wellness and the Environment, the Honorable Sinclair Prince, said this extension of lab services will provide increased access and equity. Prince said whenever a test becomes unavailable at one lab site for whatever reason, the public is advised to seek services at another public lab. Lab services are available at another clinical lab at the Modern Medical Complex in Georgetown, with 4 more laboratories being developed at the Union Island Health Center, Buckerman Bay Polyclinic, Levi Latham Health Complex, and Canawan at a site to be determined. These labs should become operational by the last quarter of 2022. The strategy is to build laboratory services that are resilient, accessible, equitable to all Vincentians, Prince said. Minister Prince was speaking at the sitting of the House of Parliament yesterday. 20 Vincentians are recipients of the 2022 Taiwan MOFA and ICDF scholarships. The scholarships were presented at a certification award ceremony this morning at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs conference room by the Embassy of the Republic of China, Taiwan, in collaboration with the Ministry of Education. Addressing the award ceremony, Minister of Education Curtis King thanked the government and people of Taiwan for their continued support to St. Vincent and the Grenadines in the development of their human resources.
That once we have our people and once we commit to the development of our people, there's nothing to stop us from achieving what we want to achieve. In this respect, I want to point out that Taiwan, being a small island, was able to invest significantly in the development of their human resource, the people. And they have been so successful that today they're able to share that success with many people across the world. This is the lesson I want us to take from these people.
The Education Minister noted that the ceremony today will contribute not only to the development of the education sector, but also the development of the country.
But this ceremony today is coming at a very critical period in our development. And here I'm speaking about education, yes, but education contributes to our overall development. You heard the Prime Minister earlier identifying the type of society, the type of economy that we envision to take us forward. And basically, he outlined the need for us to develop a post-colonial and modern society. But we are not going to be able to develop such a society, such an economy, if we don't have the labor force, the people, if you like, that are trained.
Minister of State responsible for Foreign Affairs, that should be Minister of State in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Kiesel Peters, commended the government of Taiwan for being a faithful friend to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Peters further encouraged the scholarship recipients to continue to excel in life.
And I want to take the opportunity to encourage the recipients. Well, first of all, to congratulate you on being awarded these scholarships. And I want to encourage you, as the Prime Minister said earlier, just stay focused. Do your work. Go what you went there to do and make us proud. Make your families proud, your country proud, and most importantly, yourself. Put your best foot forward. As the Prime Minister said, we have a very good team at our embassy in Taiwan, Ambassador Bowman, who's doing excellent work up there. Don't be afraid to reach out to her. Don't be afraid to be involved in the many activities that the embassy would put on whilst you're there. And we have bragging rights because our embassy did receive an award for the best embassy from Taiwan. So, you know, we are a big deal up there. So don't be afraid to be in touch with our embassy and to be involved. And I wish you nothing but the best.
Ambassador of Taiwan to SVG, His Excellency Peter Shalilan, encouraged the recipients to use the opportunity to teach Vincentian culture to the people of the Republic of China, Taiwan.
Recognized. The only thing, I think, the most important element in that process is, of course, education. We keep invest in our education, our people keep invest, as well as their family, invest in education. So I think this program of scholarships is not a one-way trend. It's actually two ways. For the recipients, when you go there, as two ministers already touched upon, that it's not only studying, it's a cultural exchange program from my point of view, because honestly speaking, before I came here, I don't know soca. I don't know carnival. You know, this is a very different culture that you possessed, that I think you need to carry that message to our people and our students. We are there, we provide, of course, this environmental study, but we also need our people and our students to get to know our friends for 41 years.
Meanwhile, the Republic, that should be the Embassy of the Republic of China, Taiwan, to SVG, in collaboration with the ASUS Foundation from Taiwan, handed over 100 new laptops to the government and people of SVG through the Ministry of Education and Reconciliation. The University of the West Indies, UWI, proudly celebrates Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Honorable Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, and Prime Minister of Barbados, the Honorable Mia Amor Motley, who both recently received international recognition for their leadership and influence. On May 26th, Prime Minister Gonsalves was conferred the Order of Jose Marti by President of the Republic of Cuba, Miguel Diaz-Canel. The date marked the 30th anniversary of diplomatic relations between St. Vincent and the Grenadines and Cuba. The award is named after Jose Marti, a former nationalist, poet, philosopher, essayist, journalist, translator, professor, and publisher, who is considered a Cuban national hero because of his role in the liberation of his country from Spain. The Order of Jose Marti is the country's highest national award. Prime Minister Gonsalves has been a firm activist for the inclusion of Cuba in hemispheric forums. Professor Sir Hilary Beckles, Vice Chancellor of the UWI, stated, quote, "It is an honor that is well deserved to our distinguished alumnus, Prime Minister Gonsalves, The UWI applauds his unyielding efforts to promote Caribbean unity and persistence in nurturing strong relations with Latin America and the Caribbean, as well as his commitment to being a loyal ally to our Cuban neighbors. Prime Minister Motley was lauded by the global media brand Time on its Time 100 The Most Influential People of 2022 list. The publication annually recognizes the world's pioneers, leaders, titans, innovators, and icons. To celebrate this year's laureates, Time published 5 worldwide covers in May, each highlighting a member of the Time 100, and Prime Minister Motley was selected for the cover representing influential leaders. In the rationale for the Prime Minister's inclusion on the list, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, Director General of the World Trade Organization, reflected on her staunch advocacy for the Caribbean at COP26 held in Glasgow, Scotland in 2021, and described her as an embodiment of our conscience and reminding us all how to treat our planet, and therefore one another with love, dignity, and care. Offering congratulations on behalf of the regional university, Vice Chancellor Beckles noted that the region salutes Prime Minister Motley's advocacy on climate change and the clarion call she sounded, urging world leaders to do more to limit the potential catastrophic impacts for the Caribbean. Her service as chair of the World Bank and on the International Monetary Fund's Development Committee has also left an indelible impact, and we continue to be in awe of her leadership and charisma, he said.